Just want to touch on something there that I feel is very important, as sad as it is and as much as tragic as it was. I feel it definitely deserves mentioning. We approached the end of the millennium. The scene lost one of its true greats. You lost a dear friend in chemistry.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how did this affect you, at the time? Because
it was heavy. It was really heavy because me and Kemi were having difficult times anyway. And when Kemi died, it devastated me and everyone else around me. It was a tsunami. It was worse than a tsunami. And the thing that had for me, she'd always been haunted by stuff. And there's some things that had happened that me and Jane had witnessed. It was like, it's not quite of this place, weird shit. Now that could be down to buzzing or doing whatever. She'd always have this way that I'd say something and she'd just go, but that's just this. Or she'd say, there's other things out there in terms of vibes, and it's very spiritual, but very quiet. And she always said to me, and it's the eerie thing, I'm going to die before I'm 30.
That's mad.
I'm definitely going to die before I'm 30. I'm like, that'll be silly. And she said that she'd die. She said that she'd go. And she wanted to go before. And you know why? Because she said, oh, I don't want to get old. I just want to be here in the moment. I don't want to grow up. There's no way. That was the biggest fear of hers. She didn't want to grow. Yeah. And it's all right with some people that go, I don't want to grow. But with Kemi, it was a subject
just words
that was deep.
Yeah.
And she kind of got flashes of stuff that came to her. And eerily enough, I mean, Jane, I was snowboarding in Alaska. We come down off the mountain. 2 hours later, we're having lunch. And my brother Stuart calls me. And he said, you've got to sit down. And I go, well, why is he got to sit down? I sat down and he said, she's gone. And when he said that, I just knew. And he said, Kemi's passed. She died in a car crash. And, it was tough. It was really tough. You know, I never think about it in that way, but she always knew. And that's the only happiness that I think about it when I come back on the rebound. Yeah. You know, and I think that one of the most beautiful things, I mean, she introduced me to so much.
Yeah. I know you were so close.
This tune, the horn, Beltram, especially things like Kevin Saunderson, you know, the cameo remix and all this. And she changed my life, you know. And,
okay, listen, I'm sure she's looking down on you.
Well, she does, and I think the thing about it,
I'm very, very proud of everything you've achieved, mate.
The thing is about it that Storm, I feel for Storm because she was driving with her on the road, and it was the way that it happened with the cat's eye. They wasn't supposed to do this gig. They went around a truck. The truck lifted the cat's eye from the thing, and she was leaning down to get Rizla. It goes through the window. It hits her in the head. She suffers, and she says she remembers her last breath.
All right. Well,
lighten the load.
Thank you for taking us down that path there, mate. I know that was a tough bit there. So, all right. Well, look, let's go on to some TV stuff now and lighten the load a bit. You know, I watched your journey from the Ajax project we played at the beginning to now, and when I've seen you on the telly, on the red carpet with James Bond films, on EastEnders as Angel, or whatever it was you was doing, and you've always
excuse the pun on Angel, by the way.
Yeah, that's quite. I mean, did you angle that name into that, or did they add that?
I angled it in there. Yeah. But the second thing was that if you look in the bar scenes running up to when he appeared, that character, there's lots of metalhead stickers on the bottles in the bar that no one clocked because I put them in there, I sneaked in there, and I've got Tiffany's rest in peace coffin thing in my yard. It's on the shelf. I've got her plaque from the coffin. Okay. Anyway, but. For me, it was just a kid having a laugh because it was like, I'm going to have a laugh here, same as Big Brother. I'm going to have a laugh here because hang on a minute, here's 10 celebrities who are pretending that they don't know who they are. But when I'm in a children's home with 35 kids who don't know who they are, who want to become somebody. And that's the whole premise. Yeah. For me, there has to be a singular line that is the reason behind all of this. And the reason for Timeless being so long was you're going to accept this music, whether you like it or not. And people that were the naysayers who went, Mother's not drum and bass. Well, okay, so there's Mother VIP, optical, step in. Let's charge this out. Have that 3 minutes. Zoom into that, please. There you go. There's your mother, son. There's your tune. When your drum and bass tune, it's in there, 3 minutes. It's 60 minutes long. I'll zoom in and out of life. And that's what's important for me to acknowledge that.
Okay, all right. Now, second album we've spoken. I mean, there was collabs on there with Noel Gallagher, David Bowie, KRS One, and whatever. But I want to just step aside from that and go into the Metalhead's label side of things. Releases, Pulp Fiction, This Is LA, Metropolis, Angels Fell. You know, loads and loads. The list goes on and on and on and on. How nice was it watching not only your own career and yourself become a star. The guys that you were around were starting to get the recognition they deserved.
Well, this is what it was. Anyone that went to Blue Note that was played in there, most peoples that came on the Metalheads label all signed major record deals.
Yes.
Every one of them.
It must have been nice for you as like, for a want of a better word, the head honcho of the family.
Even down to Carl, even down to Dillinger went, he had his own deal with London with Pete. He had that whole thing. We all bounced. And for me, I wasn't Suge Knight. I'm not, and people will tell you, I'm not the best businessman at all, mate. I'm terrible. And I'm just this artist that was trying to find my way. But the fact that their Heads label, the moniker, was an entity to itself. And as far as I was concerned, that's the legacy of Metalheads. Because I did not want to do, the whole point of bringing that Gold disc back into the Blue Note was to say that I ain't going away, and I don't forget, because I know man is an island, and where we come from and where our crew is, these guys, when I've already blown up and I'm on tour, I'd always phone back to find out what's going on in the Blue Note,
Yeah,
and
you cared more about that.
I cared more about
flashy
that.
Lights. Yeah,
and for me, that's kind of the opposite to what goes on now. But because that was kind of intrinsically that you couldn't buy the Blue Note, you couldn't buy that experience. You had to be there.
Yeah.
But when you look at, you look at aspects of on tour and doing, for example, we played at Troubadour, right? We did a live show and then we turned into a DJ, and then I play at Viper Rooms, man, where River Phoenix strolls out of there, and Johnny, Johnny Depp, I'd go and sculpt to Johnny's house, and we'd do stuff, and it'd be mental, and I'd be, I was flying to New York, and I was seeing Naomi at the time down, New York Fashion Week, and doing that whole Naomi Campbell thing, and driving from Philly to New York. Like, open the bloody door, I want some sleep. Do you know what I mean? And going there, but then going to LA and playing This Is Los Angeles in LA at the House of Blues on Sunset. You've arrived. You're in the LA Times. Here we are, and we ain't going nowhere. Yeah. And then came the Here Comes the Drums tour, me and Scotty. Our first experience with Noir and those, my girl who was there at the time was Noir. She was there, and and it was a beautiful thing to be able to see how far it had come, because it had not only just been New York playing where these famous guys had played, and I remember me and Scotty, in the days of Incredible, playing at the Roxy. And I've got the flyer in a massive frame. And it's Doc Scott and Goldie at the Roxy. This is where Crazy Legs and the Roxy, the Rocksteady crew break. So for me, it was doing that. The thing that unhinged me in America, which is where most people would have gone, let's play the game, as they say, was I remember going to a meeting with Madonna's manager, George, at the time, who was now the head of dealing with certain people in K-Rock Radio. And the one thing that people forget, they didn't know where to play drum and bass music. Do we play it on K-Rock or do we play it on Kiss?
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
They didn't know because
it
wasn't black and it wasn't white.
Yeah.
And like the Graffiti Train, they couldn't work it out.
Yeah.
And I remember taking Robert Evans' son, Robert Evans as in Chinatown, the Godfather, the producer. Got a great book called The Boy Stays in the Picture, by the way.
Okay.
His son is one of my best friends called Josh Evans. He was ultra weed smoker and I was ultra coke fiend. And we went to this meeting. I should never have taken him, because we end up standing up at this table going, you, K-Rock, I don't want your music. I don't care about you. I don't care about England. I care about drum and bass music. You don't give a hoot or whatever. So I ended up quoting all of these people, Madonna's manager, that was going to get me into America and get me on the radio on the West Coast, which it happens in LA.
Yeah, once you're there, you're there.
And I just went, bacon and eggs, see you later, I'm going back to England.